All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but basically this is breakfast in the Hudson household, probably 28 days out of 30. And, or at least in the volumes I'm going to show you now, this is what we do. And it's probably not applicable to most people, but if you halve or even quarter the recipe, you will probably get something that's closer to what might fit into your lifestyle. So let's just go through some of the ingredients quickly. We just have some oats here. This flapjack mix from Woolworths is really good. It just helps to make it like a little bit more fluffy, or it gives it a little bit more volume and texture. Where you could replace this with normal flour, which is actually slightly lower in calories. I mean, it's around roughly 10 calories fewer if you use regular flour. I just prefer this, it tastes better. Some chocolate chips. We've got some bananas, some whole eggs, and my favorite thing to add in this is actually the vanilla Blue Lab Whey from USN. You can use different flavors. We often use the bar one variant when we are out of stock here, but my favorite is vanilla with some chocolate chips. All right, so we have our 100 grams of oats here. Can be any oats. And some flapjack mix. I usually add like whatever I do in oats, I do the same amount in flapjack mix. So another 100 grams here. $80. Okay, there we go, it's 100. And I like to blend this before I mix it with everything else, because if you don't, then you know the oats are not as fine and it's not as good. Next up we have 7 whole eggs here. I'm just going to put the bananas in here and also blend this before I add it. It just makes it easier to mix everything together. Just a quick thing on the oats. A lot of people might say, well, why don't you do 200 grams of oats? And you can do that if you want. I've just found that with bigger people, especially bodybuilders, if you had to have 200 grams of oats in one meal, often that's just too much fiber. And you definitely can get used to it, and it's not like it's harmful to your body. But a lot of guys, when they're bigger, they start to have sort of digestive and bloating issues. So by replacing some of that with something that has less fiber, it often gives a better result, because the guys don't feel so bloated, and this is a ton of calories in one sitting. Okay, that's that. Now to that, I add the protein powder. I do like 1.5 scoops. There we go. Let's put this in here. And the one thing we forgot to add in the beginning about the ingredients is milk. So the one thing we forgot to add in was milk in the beginning, in the ingredients list. And I'm just going to add that in now. I usually add in about 250 to 300 mils. There we go. And now we blend. And then the last thing that we add in is a little bit of dark chocolate chunks. I like to add these in because it just tastes really good, and it doesn't actually add that many calories if you want on the larger side of things. Okay, so now that we've mixed it all together, I often leave the stick blender in because while this is cooking, the chocolate pieces tend to settle towards the bottom. So every now and then in between cooking, I'll just go and spin it up again, and it just gets everything mixed up better. So here we go. A little bit of spray and cook. Now we just let that cook. You normally know when it's time to turn it over when you start to see some bubbles coming through and it looks a little bit dry on the top. Just a side note on these things. Sometimes you might not have bananas. I occasionally will use honey, but I've noticed if you do that, then it's more likely to burn. So I tend to flip them earlier if I'm using honey, but banana seems to be okay. If you want to make a lower calorie version, what you could do is just use a bit of sweetener instead of the bananas or honey. Okay, so we're going to put some spray and cook on just to make sure it doesn't stick. And then I like to make it a little bit thicker than like a normal, what South Africans would term as a pancake, but not so thick that it's like a giant crumpet. That's about right. Now we just wait for it to start cooking through. You'll normally see like a few bubbles popping up, and it looks a little bit dry on the top, and that's when you know it's time to turn it. And that can, we've seen quite a few accidents in this household with not being cooked properly and trying to flip it and it breaks in half, or you know, some mixture flours where it shouldn't flour. Okay, so it's looking like it's nearly ready to flip. If you have a look here, it's not runny on top, a little bit cooked. So here we go. Okay, this one looks like it's nearly ready to flip. Just a few more seconds. Can I do it? Let's see. Oh, nope. So accidents like this do happen occasionally. Actually never, only when the camera's filming. And the best thing you can do is just try and straighten it out and thin it out as much as you can so that it cooks evenly. So I'll just leave that, let it cook for a bit, I'll flip it, and hope for better luck next time. Okay, so that looks about ready to flip. Always try to loosen it up a little bit before we do. And hopefully we can get one good flip for this video. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I mean that's really it. We sometimes might put some peanut butter, sometimes we will put some chocolate spread or Nutella, and yeah, that's basically it. So I've been doing this for so long now that most days I'm pretty much eyeballing it. I'm not exactly measuring things out. So today's mixture was a little bit on the runny side. I think if you're following along and you want to do your own version, I would add a little bit more of the flapjack mix to make it a little bit thicker, or add a little bit less milk, and it should come out right. I don't know if you saw, like some of these are a little bit, they didn't stick together too well, but I'm going to eat them anyway. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if there's anything that you guys want me to cover in regards to nutrition, training, recipes, lifestyle, you know, whatever, I am going to make sure that I'm more on top of getting videos out more regularly. And I really enjoy this, and hopefully you do too. And see you guys again soon.